The Knicks needed a big win, and boy, did they get one behind some power of OG Anunoby, Deuce running loose early in this game, and much more, including a lot of great ball movement right now on Locked On Knicks.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, welcome in to Locked On Knicks. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. I'm Alex Wolf. I'm editor-in-chief of Knicks site, The Strickland, which you can find at strick.land, and he's Gavin Shaw, your favorite play-by-play broadcaster, and the Saturday host of the Locked On NBA podcast. And today, we are going to be talking through a big Knicks win, 133-104 over Sacramento. OG Anunoby went crazy again, flirting with a triple-double. That's a new one for him. 24.7 boards, 8 assists. So we're going to talk through that. Talk through Deuce McBride, who had an electric first quarter to push the Knicks out to a big lead early in this one, did his best Jalen Brunson impression. Then talk about just the amazing passing all around in this game. 34 assists for the Knicks, but in the starters, 3 guys with 7 assists or more. Just all in all, a phenomenal game passing the ball. So lots of great stuff to talk about. But first, we want to thank you all for making Locked On Knicks first listen today and every day. Whether you're checking us out on your favorite podcast platform or taking in the sights and sounds on YouTube, we appreciate you making us part of your daily routine. Make sure you hit that auto download function on your favorite podcast app or the notification bell on YouTube so you never miss an episode. And of course, if the podcast is not enough for you, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter introducing the Locked On Knicks Daily Newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at lockedondaily.com. That's lockedondaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Knicks newsletter. All right, Gavin, let's get into this big win. Admittedly, it was a late one. We were both dozing a little bit, so we're recording this in the morning. 133-104, the Knicks win over the Kings. And to me, I don't think this is a hot take. I mean, he wasn't quite the high scorer, but OG Anunoby had his fingerprints all over this one. I feel like he made his case for being the guy who might be the difference maker to step up during this time with Brunson out right now. But just a really phenomenal effort overall for him. 24 points, 8 assists, 7 boards. Was attacking the basket with reckless abandon, but also like making really smart reads out of that. Stuff that like passes that we haven't really seen out of him, I feel like, since early on this season, when he was attacking from the corners and making nice passes. And, a lot of it goes to the whole team game plan of just cutting and just running around and being active the entire game. But I thought that this was just a really standout performance for OG. 5 steals also, which I didn't even bring up.
Yeah, it was a complete game from him. A career high 8 assists, we should note, which is assuming StatMuse is not lying to me. I was shocked to see he's never had more than 6 assists in a game, which for someone who's been like a third or fourth option for a couple of years, I would say is a little bit of an indictment on his passing. But this is not the night to talk about what OG hasn't done in the past, because he was exceptional and the whole team was exceptional, frankly. And look, you can look at the Kings and say, all right, it's not the Lakers, it's not the Celtics, it's not the Cavs, it's not even the Clippers in terms of an impressive win specifically without Domantas Sabonis, but they haven't been a terrible team post-trade deadline, right? They were 8-6, they were 16th in defense, and I think over their last 14 games post-deadline. But I think even more notable, Alex, is just how bad the Knicks offense has been, even with Jalen Brunson, right? 13, 14 games post-deadline coming into this one, 17th in offense over that stretch, mostly with Brunson on the floor. And they completely break out in this game. And you could look to Mikal, you could look to OG, you could look to Deuce. But just across the board, guys were very, very aggressive and confident. And I think that was sort of the unifying theme in this offensive performance. I thought OG from the get-go, and look, he was aggressive against the Clippers, and it didn't look as good. So maybe some of it is like the Kings just didn't really have a wing with Keegan Murray guarding Karl-Anthony Towns that was physical enough to defend him. But like his first play of the game was like a pump and go corner three. The defense, you said it was like absolutely exceptional the whole night. Like he just consistently ate up space, got into Jonas Valanciunas' body, both in the half court and in transition. The passing was as good as, I mean, to the point of the career high, as good as we've ever seen from him. I think he might have had my favorite pass of his of the entire season. One of my favorite is the Knicks. We had a pump and drive on DeMar, and he was staring at the rim like he was going to shoot and kind of baited Jonas Valanciunas to step up and then just dropped like a no-look bounce pass to Mitchell Robinson for a layup, or excuse me, it was to Cat for a layup. And I was like, wow, I didn't really know he had that in him. Hit it off the dribble, step back three, had this possession towards the end of the first half where he shut down DeRozan, switched on to Levine, shut him down too. He was rebounding the whole night, just a complete game, getting in passing lanes. Couldn't have played much better.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to ever call an injury like a blessing in disguise or something, and it's definitely not. Like, I'd much rather have Brunson on the floor right now, but I do think that like this game was the first one where they didn't look like they were scrambling in life without Brunson. Like, it was like they came out with a different game plan, and we sort of saw, there were brief times where Brunson had to miss time last year, and it forced the Knicks to play a different way, and I think sort of led to the breakouts of Hart and Dante DiVincenzo in that way. Like, after Brunson had that knee scare and then had to miss like about 2 weeks, which is about what he's projected to miss with this ankle sprain, if the reports are to be believed, then they were kind of forced to approach the game a little differently, embrace ball movement more, be less in that mode of just kind of watching Jalen work. And I think that that's Tibbs's preferred way of doing things, but maybe this will even wake Tibbs up a little bit of like, this team is just made up of like great cutters, great shooters, guys that need, to be in motion to make things work. And, we saw in this game, I think, there was a lot of Hart also. I mean, Hart didn't get the gaudy assist numbers to, back it up, but he was initiating a lot of the offense too, and then setting up the pass that set up the pass. So, I mean, if there was hockey assists tabulated in this game, he probably had like 6 or 7. Just by virtue of being the guy to just kind of get downhill first, kick it out to someone who then maybe they get downhill, or maybe they just kick it to another shooter. It was just really beautiful stuff. I mean, it was just a lot of that sort of movement, and OG was right at the middle of that. I feel like as the main catalyst and the main guy that they were looking for. Obviously, you had Cat continued his kind of resurgence with 26 points and looked a little more comfortable in this game, and kind of got that historic efficiency back a little bit with the 53% from the field, 50% from three, almost 80% from the free throw line. Like, so you like to see him kind of getting his groove back in only 28 minutes. He only had to play 28 minutes and had 26 points. But OG, I think just kind of found that other gear, and a little different than, in a little different way than some of his bigger scoring performances on the year, like the Denver game, for example, where he was just mega hot shooting the ball. This one, it felt like a more complete effort, just looking to get his points in a variety of ways, looking to, create for others. I thought that he just kind of did a little bit of everything in this game. And, it was just kind of he was like the flag bearer for an overall different style of ball in this game. And the Knicks executing that style of ball for like the full 48 minutes, which I think is probably the biggest thing that they don't do sometimes with Brunson out there, when Tibbs just kind of settles into the like the prevent offense, if we want to call it that, of just, trying to, hold a lead or whatever late in the game, and then ultimately shooting themselves in the foot sometimes when they rely a little too hard on, just having Brunson ISO every play for the whole last quarter or so of the game.
Yeah, I think Mikal and Hart are ultimately the two guys that you're going to find initiating offense. I thought the mistake they made to some extent against the Clippers partially was just that the Clippers are a fantastic defensive team. Without Brunson, the Knicks really aren't equipped to attack them. But Mikal and Hart are the two guys who still, like, especially when they get the ball on the move, have some ability to create an advantage off the dribble, right? That's not really Deuce McBride's game. Cat can create an advantage, but he can't capitalize on that advantage, at least as a passer, right? And it's why you saw Cat against the Clippers, and then Cat a little bit at the onset of this game. I compare it to, this is a very niche reference, but if anyone's seen the Shane Gillis like blind guy at a wedding sketch where he's just like stumbling around, like sprinting into people, it's less problematic than it sounds how I'm describing it. But anyways, that is kind of Cat on offense at times, where he just is just driving into 2, 3, 4 guys and just knocking them over and then hoping he's on the right end of a foul call. I think we saw the Mikal Bridges in this game that I frankly, Alex, expected to see this entire year. And I thought we'd be getting the entire year. And in that Clippers game, like I shared that tweet that Prez put out, like breaking down his usage, where like most of his offense is incidental offense. And he's been treated like a fifth man all year, right? It's like, go score in transition, go score off cuts, go be a spot up shooter. And it's treating a guy that you gave a premium of picks up for and are presumably going to pay a premium contract to, like he's Landry Shamet. And last night they remembered that, like, hey, Mikal Bridges is like, I mean, he was the number one guy on a team for a year and a half. You can question how qualified he is for that, but he can do some of those things. Like early in this game, like had a catch, strong push dribble to the middle of the lane, no look out to Josh Hart for 3. You give it to him with a little momentum. Like he's not someone who's going to create from a standstill, but a dribble handoff, you run him off a screen into a catch, it is generally going to go well. Like another one where Hart just like dribbled at him hard, dribble handoff, Mikal gets on the move, goes into Trey Lyles, takes a bump, still finishes. The play of the night to me was him. This is something Manu Ginobili on the Spurs always did, right? Not waiting for the ball to get to you, sprinting into a catch, beating Lyles off the dribble, and then dunking around Keegan Murray. Like it was far and away the most aggressive drive we've seen from him this entire season. There was another one where he got a rebound and off a live dribble, just hit Shamet for a layup. Like he is capable of creating shots for other people. And to your point, with Jalen Brunson getting hurt, Tom Thibodeau has to lean into that a little bit. And hopefully when Brunson's back, it's something he remembers that Mikal Bridges is more than capable of doing.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And next, we're going to talk about Deuce McBride and the big night that he had, specifically a huge first quarter where he just absolutely carried the Knicks and, didn't miss a shot for, I think, the whole first quarter plus, which is crazy. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment when we get back in. But first, we got to let you know about our friends over at DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. So here are a few ways you can take advantage of this deal. How about a game day feast? After an epic 50-point performance, celebrate by ordering wings, pizza, or burgers from your favorite spot delivered straight to your door. Or maybe a lunch on the go. This is a pretty good way to use it. Need a quick and easy lunch the next day? With Dash Pass, you can get your favorite meals with $0 delivery fees and reduced service fees. Plus, now you save even more with this exclusive NBA offer. So sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. All right, we're back in to keep talking through this big win for the Knicks. Again, 133-104 over the Kings. And Gavin, Deuce McBride went absolutely nutso in this game. First quarter ends it 5 of 5 shooting, 3 of 3 from 3 for 15 points. He did. I would say that he cooled down the rest of the way. He didn't really cool down so much as just kind of switch into distributor mode. He notched all those points in the first quarter, then scored 6 the rest of the way out to end with 21, but also not just 7 assists from there on out as well, which is a pretty solid output for Deuce, honestly, and a welcome sight. I think that he's a guy that I worry a little bit sometimes about being a little too tunnel visioned on getting a shot. And, to see him looking to actively move the ball the rest of the way out was a pretty welcome addition, and kind of right up there with what we saw in Mikal, what we saw at OG, as far as like how this team can survive without Brunson out there. I don't think that Deuce is like an untalented passer. I think that he is just a guy that can't break down a defense quite as well, which limits his ability to be put in passing situations. But, I think actually like we see the old high school quarterback in him show out a lot where he's good at a quick touch pass. He's good at getting the ball exactly where it needs to go. He has good vision, I think, when he gets the ball and, has it while he's moving, as long as he's got that advantage already, he's pretty good at identifying, when to kick it out to a shooter or when to just make that extra pass, whatever. We saw that the whole rest of the game. But that first quarter obviously was electric and really showed us, the best of what Deuce can be without a Jalen Brunson on the floor, or just in general. I mean, again, I think this is just giving some guys an opportunity without Brunson out there to sort of challenge themselves to be the best versions of themselves again. And I think we definitely saw that out of Deuce in this game.
Yeah, he was exceptional. I mean, to your point, the shot making really, like his first shot of the game was a sidestep three on Keon Ellis to beat the shot clock buzzer. But the most, I mean, and then he hit another three. This got him to 8 points in 8 minutes, where Mitch set a screen for him and he didn't really want to use it. I think to your reasoning, like he's just a little reticent to go towards the rim because I think he knows like not a lot of good things are going to happen. And the most likely scenario is the defender just slides with him or catches up and either gets a block or he's stopped and he has to kick it out. So instead just gives Mitch time to rescreen and set a flat screen. And then he just strokes an off the dribble 25-foot three. And it's important to remember with Deuce, like he is an even better off the dribble 3-point shooter than Jalen Brunson. Jalen is just, because of his release, is a little bit more limited to just kind of like that left to or right to left crossover into a step back or a side step, while Deuce can just kind of confidently rise up like 25, 26 feet away from the basket. Like he was just absolutely cooking. But the initiation is what stood out to me even more. The Knicks ran a Spain pick and roll for him. And this stood out to me because I pointed out a play against the Clippers where they ran Spain and they had Cat open on a cut, Mikal open on the middle, and he missed both and settled for an elbow jumper. This time he turns the corner, goes hard to the rim, hit a lefty layup in a season where he's shooting 11% worse at the basket than he was last year. And is one of the worst finishing point guards in basketball. That really stood out. And then near the end of the half, tried to go one-on-one against Trey Lyles, did a jump stop, did a couple of fakes, and he baited both Lyles and Keegan Murray to sort of like jump at him. And then he just slipped it to Mitchell Robinson for a layup to beat the shot clock buzzer. And to your point, like that's not overly complicated. It's not intricate. It's not what we see from Brunson, but him just making like functional, simple passes is going to lubricate this offense in a way they really need with Brunson out. And again, it should be a little bit more on Hart, a little bit more on Mikal, but if he can just sprinkle in plays where he can get to the rim and get a layup or create a layup for someone else, I think that's going to really help keep the offense afloat.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's, they're going to need playmaking wherever they can get it without Brunson out there. I guess this is a good opportunity to kind of give Hart his shine a bit as well. I think that I already sort of mentioned it in the last segment, but I thought that he was tasked with being, sort of the stand-in guy to, get the action going as well as Mikal a lot of the times. And I think even though the stats didn't really pop off the page, I thought his impact was really felt in this game. Like, I mean, the 18 points are great. That was 4th on the team, which is crazy. It was a very, very high scoring game for a lot of guys in this one, but the 18 points, great. But like the 6 rebounds, 3 assists, they were mentioning, I was rewatching some of the stuff this morning just to make sure in my sleepy haze, I didn't miss anything last night. But the Kings announcers on their broadcast, brought up a couple times like, oh, he torched them last time. He had a triple double, blah, blah, blah. I thought he still torched them this time too, even though it was a more modest 18, 6, and 3. Just because, like I said before, I felt like he was getting things going in the right direction a lot, doing a lot of stuff that wasn't going to show up on the stat sheet at the end of the day, unless you go and look for secondary assists the next day. But so many plays, when I was watching back the assists for OG, the assists for Mikal, the assists for Deuce, all started with a pass from Hart. After he kind of got things going by getting to the inside and getting that swing sequence started and, making that first pass out to a semi-open shooter who then, got closed out on and made a pass to a wide open shooter. It was just exactly what you need out of Hart right now. I think that he's as the one guy other than like Cat that can, and maybe Mikal to a degree, and, OG or Deuce can do it against a tilted defense, but Hart's the one guy that from a standstill, just with his explosive pop that he has, can create an advantage from the perimeter and get all the way to the rim. As the one guy that can really kind of do that on the team right now, again, other than Cat, who isn't really a guy that you expect to drive in like that and then make a kick out. You kind of just expect him to go up strong and either try to finish the play or get fouled. I think that's going to be super valuable for these next couple weeks to have Hart able to do that for you, operating at a high level. And this game was no different. Even though the gaudy stats weren't necessarily there, I thought that his fingerprints were all over this one and the good ball movement that we saw throughout.
Yeah, the Knicks in the second quarter had I can't remember everyone who was out. It was something like Payne, Deuce, OG, Mitch, and maybe Shamit was the lineup. And the point is they put out a group without Hart and without Bridges, and they got up 46-26 off of some nice shooting. And then the Kings went on a 10-0 run and got back in the game. And the offense just completely stagnated. Like, if I'm Tom Thibodeau, as long as the game is competitive, I'm going to have one of Josh Hart or Mikal Bridges on the floor every second, because there is just like Cam can give you a little bit of initiation, especially like if you pair campaign with Cat. I think that is the one way you can get around it, just because they both create so much space, and Payne brings a lot of pace to the table. But I would generally always have one of those guys out on the floor. That being said, the thing that stood out to me most with Josh Hart in this game was the shooting, right? 4 for 6 from 3. And the point is, like, after another game against the Clippers where he was passing them up, like he was just firing from the get-go pretty confidently, and showed off. Like, it almost looked like I'm getting into my pedestrian armchair shot doctor-ness here, but like looked like he was like had like a really soft grip on the ball and was getting a high arc, right? Like it was feathery. And this is the point we always go back to with Josh Hart. Like, you look at his early career numbers, you look at stretches he's had on the Knicks, including early this season. The guy is not a bad shooter. He spent this whole summer working on his shooting, taking 1,000 shots every single day. Like, he should be confident when he's left wide open. And like in this one, like it was working for him, right? Like, not hesitating from the corner. Like, even the ones that missed were just sort of in and out. Like, he hit one at the end of the second with Levine, or maybe it was I think it was Levine, right in his airspace, and still made it. Ended his 3-point shooting night with an off the dribble sidestep 3. My favorite part of the entire night, Alex, was the camera cutting to PJ Tucker, yelling at him every single time he shot, including saying, quote, "Shoot that MFer." Can't say the word. But that was a lot of fun. And I think that's where PJ Tucker's impact was felt right away. And something I mentioned last episode, just having another voice outside of Tom Thibodeau, one, encouraging these guys, two, like getting on them like when they're not confident in themselves. And that clearly lit a fire under Josh. And this is a completely different team if he takes and makes open threes. So I hope it continues.
Yeah, maybe PJ offered Josh a nice pair of Kobe's. If he,
there you go.
If he PJ Tucker as a big sneakerhead myself, that was my favorite part of him joining the Knicks, is that I now get to see all of his sneaker collection on a day-to-day basis. Which
did you see that Josh tweeted that?
Yes,
like when he
exactly. Yeah, he said bring the Kobe collection with you, because he's certainly got some. PJ Tucker, for a career role player, has a legendary sneaker plug and gets some phenomenal player edition sneakers. Anyway, let's take our final little break here, and then we'll come back in. We'll talk about Karl-Anthony Towns' day. Very efficient, 28 minutes, leading the team in scoring in just 28 minutes, which is what you want to see out of him. Do some housekeeping on the bench, Mitchell Robinson, Landry Shamet, etc. When we get back in to Locked On Knicks.
But first, we want to tell you about our good friends over at FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can bet $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, and even who's cutting down the nets. So I'm picking my favorites. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year. I really like Drexel, team that just snuck into the tournament, and FanDuel makes it easy to get. Or excuse me, Drake. Drake is who I like. And FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. Staying in the action with tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on, and it's easy and fast. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly, no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Hey guys, welcome back into Locked On Knicks. Alex, I'll throw it to you. The last guy we haven't really talked about in depth in the starting lineup on a night we should note where every Knicks starter got at least 15 points. 3 of them score over 20. We haven't got in depth on the leading scorer, Karl-Anthony Towns, 26 points, 9 rebounds, 8 of 15 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, 7 and 9 from the foul line. Most interesting to me, you mentioned the 28 minutes. He only played 14 in the first half of the game. Shout out to Benji Ritholtz for pointing that out, which kind of shocked me. I'm wondering if that is some maintenance with his knee that's been giving him trouble. Obviously, it's kind of been tough to tell the last few games if it's been an injury issue or because of the tragedy him and his girlfriend suffered, and if he's just still working his way through that. But obviously, he has not really looked like himself. And this night was an incredible return to form because, as we said before, he is not an ideal play initiator with Jalen Brunson out. But if you can initiate, he is one of the best finishers in the entire NBA.
Yeah, I think I think all in all, it's just him kind of getting back to the basics, you know. I mean, I think it all starts with the 3-point shot. That started going in early, and that helped. I think maybe in terms of him not playing as much in the first half, that almost felt like it was like preventative medicine in a way to prevent potential foul trouble. Like Tibbs, I think, realized like, oh, we're ahead right now, so may as well bring in Mitch. Like, let's, see if we can keep this lead. And then that eliminates the possibility of Cat potentially getting in foul trouble early in the game. And I think that was a smart strategy, honestly, like for all the bad strategy that Tibbs has done lately that we've gotten on him for. I thought that was pretty smart rotation management to be like, hey, let's get, Cat, the first guy on the bench, make sure that, there's going to be no 2 fouls in the first quarter issues or anything like that. Not that the Kings really had the guy available that could have made that happen, because like Sabonis is the guy that can kind of torture Cat a bit with all the footwork and everything else to bait him into a foul. But either way, I thought it was a smart look. I do think it was intentional, because I thought it was kind of weird, like to have him come out that early without any foul trouble and then sit for that long. But it made sense in the long run, I think. And, to your point, maybe it is injury maintenance or something, but to me, it read like preventing, like saving Cat from himself in a way, keeping him away from potential foul trouble early, because as sort of an acknowledgement of like, if you get in foul trouble early in the wrong game, now we're kind of screwed because we don't have a Jalen Brunson to bail us out as the top scorer anymore. But the perimeter shooting I thought was fantastic. He was taking it with confidence. Like just, you can tell when he's on versus when he's off. Like the gear, it's almost like Josh Hart, but obviously he's a much more Cat's a much more like innately talented shooter than Josh Hart is from 3, but it's sort of the same thing with both of them. And I guess any shooter really, where you can see if the gears are turning or not. And you don't want the gears to be turning when a guy gets the ball to shoot it. And Cat sometimes takes that extra little pause, and you can tell he's sort of thinking like, should I shoot this one? Should I not shoot this one? This one, there was none of that. And you could tell that he was in rhythm. Like just from the first shot that he got up, you're like, okay, this is going to be a solid shooting game. But it wasn't just that. Like he also had some drives, which was good, had a nice post-up possession, which I don't hate seeing more of from him. Like I think he's actually really talented and has the ability to really like work the post. And that was something all the way back to when he was at like Kentucky, for example, that like Calipari really drilled into him of like, yeah, he never really shot threes on Kentucky back in the day, because I think Calipari was trying to get him to embrace how good of a post player he can be. Obviously, a long 10-year career later, he's become one of the best shooting big men in the NBA in history. But like the fact that he has those post moves and whatever, I don't hate going to it at some points during the game, especially against a team like this. They didn't like spam it or anything, and he didn't draw a foul in the one really good post up opportunity that he had. But against a team that's lacking some front court depth, I wouldn't hate going to that more often. Just as an attempt to try to get the other team's front court into foul trouble and give yourself some advantages that way. And maybe that's a way that you can try to win with Brunson out. Brunson will normally kind of do that to the opposing best wing defenders, get them in foul trouble and potentially remove them from the game. Maybe that's a way you can create more advantages for Cat as well, is just kind of have him attack the post a little more. But no complaining, obviously, because he had a fantastic perimeter game and a good game from mid range as well. Just all in all, a really good offensive effort from Cat. I liked seeing him kind of get his way back to form here. And I should note too, for as much was done to prevent the foul issues, he did still end up with 5 personal fouls in this game. So, you know, still something he's got to work on. I think if we give him one piece of constructive criticism, can't afford to get in foul trouble quite as much with Jalen Brunson out. And so hopefully that's something that he takes away from this game.
Yeah, I thought getting up 6 threes in 28 minutes is great. And I think the lesson for the Knicks in this one is that it really doesn't have to be complicated. Like, he got one just out of OG Anunoby posting up and Jonas Valanciunas just kind of leaning down a little bit to be like, all right, I might need to get down there and help. And like, he gets them off of dribble handoffs. And without Jalen Brunson, like, you just need some amount of easy offense, and the best teams in the NBA are going to be a little bit better at taking that away. And when teams put a wing on him, they might be a little bit better at taking that away. But to your point, like, Cat has optionality to punish a smaller defender, to punish a bigger defender. And on a night where Josh Hart is taking and making threes, and like, you don't have anyone to obviously help off of, like, Cat should score at will against pretty much anyone one-on-one in the NBA. He did that tonight, or last night rather. I just wanted to shout out his defense at the beginning of the second half, because I thought it was really good. Like, he was really engaged in drop. At one point, he just completely shut down DeMar DeRozan on a switch. Another play where he was in drop and contained Malik Monk. Monk dropped it off to Trey Lyles, and Cat just stripped him. It was part of a stretch in the third quarter where the Knicks didn't allow a field goal for over 4 minutes. They forced 2 different 24-second shot clock violations. OG Anunoby was a demon during that stretch. I thought Mikal did a really good job navigating screens and staying locked in. Deuce was good defensively the whole night. Like, it was absolutely, like, beyond just what OG did, a great two-way game. And the one final guy you got to shout out when you talk defense is Mitchell Robinson. Alex, he had 4 steals in just 16 minutes. His hands were fantastic. I also loved offensively that they're using him. He's obviously not Isaiah Hartenstein, but they're using him in a little bit of a Hartenstein-y way, right? Which is what we talked about this offseason, where he's screening on the perimeter. Like, every time he catches the ball and he's away from the basket, he's looking to immediately get into a dribble handoff. And the Knicks teach that with all their bigs, but in the past, like, I don't know if Mitch has totally been capable of executing that. He did a great job in this one. He was really good. It was just a complete effort in a 133-104 win. The Knicks still have a couple more games on the West Coast. They resume Wednesday against the Portland Trailblazers. We'll be here on Locked On Knicks to take you through that and everything else coming up this week. We'll talk to you soon. Peace out.